April 17th, 1982, 8:10 p.m.
It was an ambush.
Bullets flying at the intersection of Broad and Winter, a gang shootout for the
Home team to gain control over drugs and forgery on the Near East Side.
Judge Pat Sheeran was Assistant Prosecutor Sheeran then. He says this was a turf battle. Police even labeled the gangs home and away. One from Cleveland, one from Columbus.
It was just a horrific crime.
A crime that led to the death of an innocent victim. Her name was Laura. She was in the back seat of a car going through the intersection on Broad Street. It was a 1 in a million shot. The bullet shattered the car window and went through the chest of 18-year-old Laura Carter. Retired Columbus police officer Bob Young was a homicide detective then. He got the case. He went to the hospital first, where doctors tried to save Laura.
I watched her die, and just as I was told by the doctors that she'd passed, I walked out of the trauma room, and in the hallway, here come her dad.
Detective Young had no words. He says he'll never forget that moment.
I think of it every time I hear that song.
Laura was a college freshman at Denison. Her father took her and her friends out to dinner that night that her life had ended. As the song goes, she was a friend of a friend, and one of those friends was songwriter Christopher Cross. Think of Laura was a top 10 hit on the charts. Cross wrote the song for his friend Laura Carter.
It brings back a lot of thoughts.
I think of Laura Carter.
The song evokes emotions from decades ago, even for those involved in the crime.
Think of Laura. Laugh, don't cry. I know she'd want it that way.
His name is Norman Whiteside, inmate number 184313.
I'd have to say that Norman Whiteside was a player.
Norman Whiteside was the mastermind of the entire operation. He bragged about that. He made no secret about that.
There were many players involved that night. Norman was a Columbus musician and admittedly a criminal. Unfortunately, one thing he was good at was forgery.
And then this exposed me to other people that I'd only read about in newspapers.
He was in too deep. Police say Norman Whiteside provided the guns used in that shootout. Norman says he deeply regrets his involvement, though he didn't kill Laura Carter.
He was not at the crime scene. That's what he says.
He is correct.
He did not pull the trigger.
He is correct.
I mistakenly charged the Cleveland boys, the away team, if you will.
Until Norman came forward. He was a Columbus guy, the home team. A source came forward to provide the murder weapon.
And that person ended up being Norman Whiteside.
It was just a gesture of compassion. Later on in the television, I saw an older man crying about his daughter being killed in the vicinity.
Was his motive because he really felt sorry that this girl got killed?
I couldn't walk away. Bottom line.
4 from the Columbus group were charged, 1 acquitted, 2 served many years and were released. Norman remains behind bars. In just a couple of weeks, he faces the parole board again.
I am always going to be remorseful that the choices that I made not only caused that young woman's life to be taken, but destroyed a number of other lives.
Including his own. In one sense, prison saved him.
Without the entire prison experience, I'm certain I would have been dead.